Welcome to Fabletop RPG. My name is Nick, and I got my brother Troy right here with me.
Hello.
Alright, so, question, Troy. When you think of, or when you hear someone say, it's morphin' time, what's your response?
Tyrannosaurus.
The what?
The Red Ranger.
Oh, I repeat that because it sounded like you said Tyrannosaurus. Like, I don't know if you're trying to
Morphin'
impersonate the
time.
Red Ranger or something.
Tyrannosaurus. Oh. Yeah, so sorry, I got a little hyped up there. Tyrannosaurus. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Perfect.
Okay.
So. I legitimately couldn't even understand you. I was like, the fuck Dragon Zord bullshit was that? Like, I had no idea. Anyway, the reason I'm asking is because today we're going to be talking about the Power Rangers role playing game. After so many years of wanting something like this to be around, we finally have one, and it is made by Renegade Game Studios, the same people that gave us Heroes of the Grid. So, that being said, the cover for this thing is beautiful. It's just the original Mighty Morphin with Rita and the world behind it, and it's just a nice looking cover, honestly. But here's something really cool. At the beginning of it, there's a foreword, which is just really weird by being it said, but it says, Rangers, teleport to the command center. Hello, my name is David J. Fielding, but you might know me better as Zordon, the Altarian mentor to the first group of more phenomenal teen superheroes that took the world by storm nearly 30 years ago. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, my time on the show was brief, but the character has been a staple that Power Rangers fans all over the world recognize, and knowing that my face has contributed in some way to the love of the show is special and also quite humbling. Being a part of the worldwide pop culture phenomenon is, to say the least, terrific, inspiring, and also something I do my best to live up to. Because my connection to the franchise, I've been able to meet so many wonderful people. I've journeyed around the world to meet them and listen to them tell me how the show and the character brought them joy and a sense of community and belonging. So it would be remiss of me not to say thank you to all the fans who have made the experience an outstanding one. Fans like you who have backed and purchased this amazing Power Rangers role playing game. What you are holding in your hands is something truly special. Role playing games have been a huge part of my growth and knowledge as a writer and also as an actor. I've been playing them when I was still in high school and still enjoy them today. And I am grateful for all the times I've gathered around a table of fellow players and GMs to tell collective stories of high adventure, full of laughter, excitement, and yes, even a few tears. Role playing games and systems are amazing tools that allow each and every one of us to tell stories, to lift ourselves up onto the ordinary, out of the ordinary, and explore the extraordinary. They encompass so many creative elements. They are theater, they are creative writing, they are graphic art and design. They are therapy, they are safe havens, and they are escape. They allow us to slip inside the skin of beings and characters that face great dangers and thrilling situations, even if those hazards and circumstances are imaginary ones. What matters is though collective is through collective storytelling we all live them. And that is a beautiful thing. Remember, way back when you would watch Power Rangers on television and then rush outside to recreate your favorite moments or to create new ones of your own. Well, now you can do that again because what you will find within the pages of this book are rules and guidelines to bring you your own version of the Power Rangers to life. Want to recreate the events of Green with Evil, but with your own unique twist? You can. Want to see the Time Force Rangers team up with the Power Rangers from Beast Morphers and guide them through a series of encounters against the nefarious plans of a group of powerful evil warlords, including Rancic, Queen Banshera, and Evox? You can. The possibilities are endless. The only limit is your imagination, and we all know your imagination is limitless. So what are you waiting for, Ranger? Grab your morpher, take a stance, join forces with your teammates, and face down the worst evil has to offer. Because as Power Rangers, the world is lucky to have you, and so am I. May the power protect you. David J. Fielding.
That was a nice message from Zordon.
Right? Even after all
I
these
mean,
years. that was actually pretty interesting to learn that he has been a role player before. So that actually kind of was pretty cool to learn.
They
Um,
probably did it to help his acting career.
Probably. So let's see. So I'm not going to go over locations, threats, or running an adventure, but I will be talking about the elements, character creation, and stuff like that. So if you want to take notes, you're more than welcome because, well, we will be talking about a character creation here coming. But they come in here with the introduction, so it's anyone that isn't familiar with Power Rangers or completely familiar with it, unlike me and you, well, more me than you, but Power Rangers has enveloped my life as one of my favorite things, and it come here to learn ancient alien history, things about the Zeo Crystal, things about Edenoi, Rita Repulsa, uh, other things, the war against Rita, and the Power Rangers Directive, which apparently was a thing at one point, the return of Rita, and so forth. It says here, the Power Rangers Directive, though, you join the ranks of the few, chosen directly by the might of the Morphing Grid. The power coin in your possession means the power of the Morphing Grid recognizes and deems you worthy to carry the mantle of Power Ranger. Over the last 3 decades, Power Rangers, not unlike yourself, have stood as Earth's only protection against a constant and brutal barrage of General Repulsa, Lord Zed, their forces, and enemies across the galaxy. Power Ranger, you Power Ranger are part of the fighting team that is Earth's first and last line of defense. But the price of power is responsibility, and the 3 basic rules of being a Power Ranger follow them, or you risk losing the power. So I'm gonna give you a pop quiz. I want you to tell me what the 3 Power Ranger rules are.
Um, well, you are not allowed to identify. You are not allowed to reveal your identity as a Power Ranger.
Okay, keep
I
your
know that's
identity a
one of them.
secret. Okay.
Yeah, keep an identity a secret. Um, uh,
Then the first
my
episode
brain
of
went
Power
dead.
Rangers. Come on.
I know. It's a little harder when I just get done with work and BS. Um, give me a second. Uh, mm, my brain's dying.
First, never use your power for personal gain. Second, never
Thank you.
escalate a battle
Okay.
unless Rita forces you. And third, keep your identity secret as a Power Ranger.
Right. Exactly. You can't use your power for like personal game. In other words, morphin time, use it to gain money, personal fights, this and that. You can't do that. And you just can't go willy nilly off and just be like, okay, it's morphin time. Rita's there. No, she has to pretty much force you to pretty much be like, okay, it's morphin time.
Well, that and, you just have to keep escalating. So they could fight the putties normally, but they don't morph unless a monster appears, and they don't really start using their weapons until things escalate from there. So being a Power Ranger, you kind of just escalate it as it goes. So it's understandable. Uh, there's there's a threshold. A moment of truth is upon you through the power coin has chosen you. You too must choose the path of the Power Ranger. You will now understand the incredible power you will wield in the defense of Earth and this reality. More importantly, you understand the directive and responsibility placed upon you as a Power Ranger. Will you accept your rightful place among the Power Rangers? Very well. We shall proceed, and may the power protect you. So it's just essentially the introduction is essentially that it introduces you into the world of Power Rangers, giving you some background, tells you what to be expecting as a game master and what to expect by playing the game. This is a really cool little picture here. This is pretty boss. So character creation. So we'll go over the steps of character creation, and of course we're just gonna kind of roll into this. So character concept. The origin of your character, which is your character's origin, is who your character was before they became a Power Ranger. Were you the school athlete, the class clown, or were you a rebel? Which, by the way, there's about 5 core rule books right now, all with additional roles, influences, and all this other stuff. So, if you guys want more options, this is just the core. This is just the base core rule book. So, a role. A character's role is the position in the Power Rangers team that your character has now. This is linked directly to the color of the spectrum and its function on the team. Are you a science minded Blue Ranger, a strategic Yellow Ranger, and inspirational Red? Influences. Your character's influence reflects life experiences that you grew up with or had regular exposure to. A character may have more than one influence, but they will receive a hang up as a result. Hang ups may seem bad, but they add so much to your character's background and story.
So in other words, influences are your goods, and pretty much hang-ups are your bads.
Influences are your background story, the way that D&D does it.
Okay.
Hang-ups are like character defects or things that like your character might go through, like
Yeah, defects pretty much the negatives, and I don't know.
right.
You
And
have
now
like Rocky's gambling problem, right?
the what?
Where Rocky had a gambling thing
When?
in the show. There was the one with the pachinko machine. Remember?
I don't consider that gambling. Okay, I thought you were talking about like he was fucking a poker addict or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking
Oh
about?
no,
Like, I'm
no, but like he kept like playing the game like over. Well, I mean, I know Reva casted a spell on it too, but he like
well,
had a
kind
thing
of
on it
something
to where
similar. I'll get into the hangups and stuff as we go, but you'll hear.
yeah.
Essence points. The essence points are the attributes. So strength, speed, smarts, and social are the four categories that you roll into. Next, you get to choose an origin. So choosing an origin can be, you know, quite a few things in the game. Choosing your role, your influence, assigning your skill points, which the spread they recommend, you only have 12 points to start with, but they recommend the spread 4-3-3-2, kind of like the standard array in D&D. Well, the spread here is 4-3-3-2. So that means you put one stat at 4, one stat at 3, another stat at 3, and then one at 2. Doing that will give you the wide spread that you're looking for and make it work. Then they just kind of explain what each stat is for, the defenses, determining skills, which strength is measuring physical power, speed is measuring agility and reflex, smart measures awareness, memory, and such, and social represents diplomacy and other things like that. Establishes your defenses, which each essence score is connected to its own defense. Strength has toughness, speed has evasion, smarts has willpower, and social has cleverness. These defenses determine how hardy you are when you are engaged in combat or in other situations that may threaten your character's well-being. For example, when a threat tries to hit you, your toughness will determine if that physical hit does any damage at all to you. If the hit is higher than your toughness, then you will take damage and lose health. Your defense in each category is equal to your essence score plus 10. If you choose to put 4 essence points into strength, then your toughness will be 14. Write down all of your defense scores on your character sheets now. So then there's determining skill. Each point that you have in essence will allow you to earn or increase your rank in a particular skill. We will choose skills in step 6 below. Your skills are actually what are used most often in the game, and the dice you roll for them will be added to nearly every d20 roll you make in play. So the skills have ranks to them between a d2 to a d12. And how you use each of the skills is you literally roll a d20 and add a dice to it, as long as you're trained in it.
Hmm.
New skill. So 1 point spent on a skill gives you the ability to roll a die type above what you can currently roll. Increasing a skill rank, just like above, spending a point on a skill allows you to also increase your skill rank. Let's see. So determining your skills, or specializing in a skill. So you can actually specialize in skills. So let's just say we'll go with might. No, yeah, let's go might. So as might as your specialization, maybe you're able to uh like you pull rope, or you're able to like push heavy machinery, something like that. So if like you're pushing something really heavy, you would roll a d20 and then roll every single dice that is within your skill set, and you take the highest result from those dice.
So, in other words, the dice are really giving you a higher possibility of a high rank roll.
Right, so let's just say like you roll the D2, the D4, the D6, the D8, and you specialize in pushing heavy machinery or whatever. You would roll all of those. Now let's say the D8 rolls as a 1, but the D6 is a 6. The D4 becomes 3 and the D2 is a 1 as well. You would take the D6 result and add it to your D20.
Gotcha. Okay.
And of course, there's describing your character. So after you've pretty much picked everything, you describe what your character looks like, and then you get to select the equipment, the weapons, the modifiers, armor, and protective equipment. So let's just see where this takes us. Character origins. So, Heroes of Earth. This is just, like I said, this is just the base game, but Heroes of Earth, Zordon's Chosen, The Power of Youth, and lots to learn. Choosing your origin. So, let's see. You get the choices of athletic, and as an athletic, you get starting health of 2. You get to either increase your strength or your speed by 1. Now, this doesn't really explain it very well, but you only get to add 1 point to the following. You only get a +1 to athletics, brawn, might, acrobatics, finesse, or initiative. You only get 1 dot in those. Now, with the game that I'm setting up, I let my players put a dot into each of those. Why? Because, well, fuck this, because that's kind of silly, but that's just me. The athletic starts with a ground base movement of 40 feet. Says languages. You haven't had much time to learn new languages beyond that of your family. You are fluent in your native language and 1 additional language for every 3 points of social you possess. Origin benefit, always training. You are used to always working out and physically training in your spare time. When making a strength or speed-based skill check in a skill you do not possess levels in, you still roll a D2 skill dice and do not suffer a snag for being untrained. Which, by the way, snags are literally disadvantage.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so if somewhere says like, oh, you hit a snag with this or whatever, it's you roll with disadvantage. Which, if you know D&D and disadvantage, you take the lower of the 2 rolls.
Yep.
There's brainy, comedic. I'm just gonna read these out. Brainy, comedic, curious, cynical, kind, oddball, popular, rebellious, or tragic are the different options. Now, I'll go over their at least personal powers that you get, or the benefits at least. So, brainy origin benefit is I remember reading about, and you have a vast array of knowledge that you have accumulated over the years, and occasionally you might know a little bit about something useful in nearly any situation. In a situation where you or your allies are stumped, you can always spend 1 story point from your pool to gain a clue from the GM. So it's metagaming. They're like, "Hey, GM, help us out. I need a clue," but you need a PowerPoint from the story pool to gain it. Comedic keeps him laughing, using comedy to maintain moral amongst friends and keep adversaries guessing as to what's really happening. You wield it like a sword and shield. Anytime you make your teammates, your opponent, or both laughed with your antics, add 1 story point to the pool. So this gives people free range to be a smartass, and if anyone laughs, they add story points to the pool.
Hmm.
Curious, secret knowledge. You have been able to learn something others have not, and may choose a general perk you meet the prerequisites, if any, to possess. So, which means that if you pick curious, you get to pick a free perk of your choice. Which, fun fact, this is a bit of a spoiler for those who haven't looked at the book. There is something called advanced ranger spectrums. White Ranger is an advanced ranger spectrum. So to play the White Ranger at the beginning of a campaign, you need to pick one of the origins with the benefit of being able to pick a general perk. The general perk is called Spectrum Shift, which allows you to pick any ranger color and change your role to it. And in order to pick the advanced ranger spectrum, you need to pick this perk.
Okay, then. So far, these are nice, actually fun, interesting facts how they're doing this so far.
Okay. There's a long pause from you. Like, you okay over there?
No, I am. I'm just listening in. I'm just tuning in. I'm just trying to take it all in. This, you know how it is when you start up new things. So I'm just trying to know everything that they have.
Got
It's
it.
quite massive,
It is.
but like they
Cynical.
definitely got the detail down.
For sure they do. Cynical. What now? You are so steeled against being shocked or surprised that negative emotional responses are just not really something you give in to easily. Any attack or effect that targets you emotionally automatically suffers snag, and you have an edge when trying to roll to overcome emotional distress. So those two words, snag and edge. So snag is disadvantage, edge is advantage. Kind. That is, I know a guy. You have been so nice to so many people in your lifetime. You have friends in the strangest places. With a variety of talents, if you need a favor, some information, or perhaps to use a skill you and your team does not possess, once per day you can communicate with a friendly acquaintance and attempt a difficulty 12 persuasion check. And if you are successful, your acquaintance will gladly help you out with whatever you are lacking in the moment. Oddball. Nobody like me. You are truly unique, and this is shown by you being able to choose any perk you have the prerequisites for. There you go. Another one that lets you just pick a perk. Popular. So for popular, origin benefit. Are you who I think you are? You have learned, possibly just accidentally, how to use the popularity as a method to get the results you are looking for in social circles. Whenever you are in the position to be recognized as a local social celebrity, you can always consider yourself as having an applicable specialization in deception, persuasion, or streetwise. Rebellious. Origin benefit. You can't tell me what to learn. You defy the system by learning skills and trades that aren't of the norm, letting you stand out as truly unique. You gain any perk you had the prerequisites for. So rebellious, oddball, and curious are the 3 starting origins that allow you to pick any perk at the beginning. And then there is tragic.
Wow. Okay.
There's tragic, origin benefit, capable of anything. You do not let your past define you, but it has made you stronger against the odds. Once per scene, you may re-roll any die result of a 1, but you must accept the new result. So it lets you kind of change the grounds a little bit, but that's the start of it. So there you go. Those are all the origins, at least in the core rulebook. Some of the other ones and some of the other books are really fun to look at, but that's the start of it.
That was pretty interesting, actually. That's nice.
So the roles in the Power Ranger role playing game are essentially the class system. And here's the description for each color. They don't give one for white, not in this page anyway, but black, a skilled warrior whose charm and personality helps the bonds between their team. Blue, clever technology expert with the strongest understanding of the morphing grid. Green, capable of working with a team but excels at surviving against all odds. Pink, An eagle-eyed sharpshooter always aware of their surroundings. Red, strong fighting spirit that leads from the front of any conflict. And yellow, fast and nimble, this warrior is good at exploiting enemies' weaknesses.
All right then.
Now, some of these are power capacity growth, which power capacity is the essentially spell slots or MP in this game. But power capacity growth is slow, fast, slow, moderate. So a nice little balance here. So some of them gain power a lot easier than others, but I mean, it's whatever it is. I mean, it works. Balance the spectrum. Each Power Ranger team has a way to focus the Morphing Grid's energy into themselves, their gear, their constructs, and even special grid zords like Zords. What the fuck? The champions of the grid design the system to work best when the team is made up of different parts of the spectrum, rather than focusing too much of one kind of energy into one place. Traditionally, it is the goal of the Power Rangers team to have different energy hues of the spectrum in each of their team members. Too much of a given color funneled into the part of the morphing grid can be catastrophic. Oh, that's really neat the way they put that. Okay. Well, let's see. So there's black energy, which the taglines are dance, song, jokes, and good leaders. So if like the red or white ranger are not available, black is pretty good to actually make a lot of good decisions as a leader.
Okay.
And this goes all the way up to level 20. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and read through every single one of these because, honestly, it's a task. And we don't really need to know. But here's the really cool part. Each role, each and every single color gets their stats raised a little bit at a time, depending on which color it is. Like blue, black's progression in their power stat raise is a little slow, so it's a little but they get quips and speeches, which are added to their repertoire. So they get other things, plus they do get like everyone gets perks and other such like that. So it's a little cooler to see it happen from that point of view, but it's just okay, you know, like it's just something that you have to learn. They get and every single role gets power, so personal power regeneration plus their capacity. They get trainings and they get starting grid equipment, which some of these will be in the a little bit later in the book, which we'll get to, so no worries there. But like this, like for the Black Ranger, it's Blade Blaster and Versatile Power Weapon. Next, we got the Blue Ranger, which is Team Technician, Brains over Brawn. This one's more for like a stoic role, this says. Let me check the Black Ranger's other tagline. I missed that. It's Stalwart Anchors for the Black Ranger. But again, so this one for the grid equipment is also Blade Blaster plus a two-handed power weapon. Risk Communicator or Power Morpher. I'm sorry, both Risk Communicator and Power Morpher. They get Grid Tech, which is one of their features. Zords, all that fun shit. Green Ranger, still part of the spectrum, fight hard for victory, and unique connections. So they get a Blade Blaster, but here's something really cool. It doesn't say they get a power weapon, but what they do get at the beginning is a unique weapon. They do get the ability to get a unique weapon at the beginning of the game, which they want you to kind of roll a d4 for this, I guess for more randomness of it. But anyway, you get either a ranged weapon that targets from 60 to 100 feet, or a small finesse weapon melee, or a versatile melee might or finesse chosen at attack, or a two-handed melee might weapon. So you essentially get a Dragon Zord or something similar. Dragon Dagger or something similar. And they're all kind of cool. You know, it just really depends on what you end up getting. And I'm sure there's other ones that you can get out of it. So it makes sense.
I mean, I understand what they were getting at as far as describing the weapons. I wonder what range you could come up with as far as the weapons to choose from.
The ranges kind of all. There's other things you can get, but for the Green Ranger in particular, it's these because of their special traits. It all just depends on the weapon here, and each of them have a different. If it doesn't have a range on it, it's usually within reach. So usually like 5 feet.
You have to be adjacent. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
exactly.
much.
You have to be adjacent next to the person.
Um, Pink Ranger can't catch me, True Heart, and Best Defense. More so, this one gets a thing called volley, which instead of a single shot, you could pretty much just shoot a volley of arrows or something similar if you have that. So pretty cool. Red Ranger, stand tall and fierce, always ready to help. And once my so stand tall and fierce, always ready to help, and a long and noble line. So really neat. Versatile power weapon, blade blaster. I forgot to read Pink's. God. Ranged power weapon or blade blaster. So only real differences
So wait
there.
a minute. If just a question, since you said the Pink Ranger has the ability of volley, but that only happens with the ranged weapon.
Yeah, because instead of shooting one shot, it's multiple. So
If you were to become pink and somehow
normally if you shoot a ranged weapon in this game, you shoot once and you fire it. It's like it's like an attack action in D&D and stuff. But for this, she gets the power of volley, which lets her shoot multiple times.
But just by some chance you are pink and you don't happen to get a ranged weapon. So
you're kind of required by it. First of all, you already get a ranged weapon. All right, hold on a minute.
Oh wait, technically you do get the blade blaster, so yeah,
exactly.
I guess
so you get a blade blaster, but see, like I just said, the starting grid equipment, you get a blade blaster and a ranged power weapon. So you're required to get the ranged power weapon off the bat.
Okay.
Anyway, so then there's yellow, which is soul of the team, right place, right time, and hands-on fighter. And we know, I mean, God bless Thuy Trang, rest her soul, but like she was. I mean, I know it was all Zoo Ranger footage, but I mean, out of costume, like Trini was just one of my favorite fighters. She had such a swift movement to her. I loved it. And Charlie Kesh, who plays her daughter in the All Once and Always special, I think she did amazing too. She was just really. I get why she was really ticked off. So I get it. But yeah, I mean, the Yellow Ranger is known for being fierce and being like really swift, and that kind of stays true throughout all of Power Rangers. And you can just kind of like base it off of that, but that's what they're made for. Yellow Ranger gets a blade blaster and 2 light power weapons, which, by the way, light really isn't a thing. It's just really weird, but anyway. And going down, so here we go. Advanced Ranger Spectrum. This isn't just darkness. This is advanced darkness. Here we go. Energy color, white. A leader possessing a unique grid weapon with an advanced connection to their Zord. So applying the Spectrum Shift perk. When a player chooses the Spectrum Shift perk for their character, they immediately change all of their character ranger levels for those of another color in the spectrum. So this is what allows them to pick the Advanced Ranger Spectrum in the first place. So there's a small section of rules here if y'all pick up the book or anything, or if you guys are watching the video version of this, which will be up at some point. But it tells you applying the Spectrum Shift perk pretty much allows them to choose any other color in the spectrum, and bam, you have it. White Rangers are elevated champions, valiant leaders, and Ranger and Zord as one, which is true with the original White Ranger, how Saba and him were being able to connect together with the Zord, and that's just kind of how it flies. They do still get a Blade Blaster, although you never see it in the show because it's a completely different series, but I digress. Um, you do
By the
get
way,
the. Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
by the way, fun fact: did you ever read about how the White Ranger actually really got the White Ranger power in the comics?
I don't think so.
It was said that they actually sent Tommy to a far off temple that actually had Saba at that temple, and Tommy had to endure a test in order to gain Saba and the White Ranger power. So, unknowing to Tommy, the test was actually Lord Zed entering the temple to take Saba, and um, Tommy wouldn't let him, so he came across Zed and he tried to fight him. But then Zed was like, join me, Tommy, we'll take over the world, this and that. And Tommy said no. And unknowing to him, he actually passed the test, and actually that's how he actually gained the ability of the White Ranger. I was like, okay, that's pretty neat. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, from the comics,
But
that
that's
makes
common.
sense. Diving back into the White Ranger here. Grid relic weapon. Now, here's the really fun part. Most Rangers don't get their Zords until level 3. White Ranger gets theirs at level 1.
Oh,
Right.
well, well, that the fuck?
Right, exactly. Uh,
No, wait, hold on, time out. Where did they get the gall to just be like, oh, level one, here's your sword. Oh, where's ours? Nah, you have to wait 2 levels. The fuck? What the
yeah,
hell? It's supposed to be,
essentially. I mean,
supposed to be Mega Sword.
that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, I can't explain it. That's just the way it is in here. They also get a grid relic weapon, which takes the form of whatever you wish for it to get, either might or finesse. You get to choose what it looks like, but then you get the abilities of either Zord control, energy blast, fast draw, intelligence, multi strike, proximity alarm, shatter strike, or thunderous. And then you get additional grid relic evolutions throughout your growth as a ranger.
Man, I can only imagine what half of these abilities do. Oof.
So, influences. That's all the ranger spectrums in this book. But fun fact: throughout some of the books, you could be the purple ranger, an orange ranger, the quantum ranger, the gold ranger, silver ranger, graphite, which is a special version of silver, and aqua, which is a special version of blue. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of others, but I digress. I don't remember offhand. Um, so backgrounds. So just like backgrounds in D&D, you have different backgrounds here. So like you have the artisan. You get to choose a artisan style like modeling or acting, dancing, drawing, cooking, so on and so forth. And you also get your background. So like I'm too competitive with my autistic pursuits. So like just a really competitive son of a bitch that just likes to just like someone else is painting the Mona Lisa. Aha, I'll show you. I'll cook the fucking Mona Lisa. I guess like in whatever that might occur to, but however you want to play them. Uh, but thank you.
Okay.
Uh, Artisan influence perk is you gain an edge when your art comes into play, such as when performing, sharing technique, or applying your art to a mission. You are passionate about your art style and gain an edge on social and smart skill tests when you apply when your art style applies. Hang up is you get so absorbed that you take a snag on smarts or social whenever it's not related to your art. Caretaker. Influence perk. You gain an edge for all medicine and group checks, and give an extra edge to those you aid with lend assistance. Or hang up. Your commitment to your charge takes priority over others, uh, even those in more immediate danger. Uh, you will always ensure the safety of those you are responsible for before engaging in combat or even helping your team.
Hmm.
But let's see, you have community helper, you have small town roots, you have martial artist, you have nomad, you have not from around here, which implies like you're an alien or you're traveling through portals or some shit. You're a student. You are a survivor, or you're a teacher. And those are your
Yeah,
influences.
that's yeah. I was about to say. So pretty much, you could be almost anything that's been in the show already.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
At least from here. They have some of the comic perks and stuff too, but that's different. There's a whole section here to explain what each of the strengths, or see what each of the abilities do. They even tell you what happens if any of them reach zero. But I mean, I'm not going to go into great detail with these. I mean, you know what strength does, you know what speed does, you know what smarts do, and you know what social does. I will give a quick rundown of the skills within each base. So, like the strength based skills are athletics, brawn, which is like drag, lift, or stamina. Athletics are climbing, jogging, sports activity, swimming, and throwing. Carrying weight, you get to carry as much as your skill allows you to. Conditioning, intimidation, might, uh, and that's all for strength. Speed is acrobatics, driving, finesse, infiltration, initiative, targeting. Smart based skills are alertness, culture, survival, science, technology, and social based stats are animal handling, deception, performance, persuasion, and streetwise.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much down pat.
Now, uh, like I said, every time you gain a level in any of these stats, you gain one skill point. So if at character creation you have 6 points in social, you get to put 6 points into any of these, splitting them up however you want to, just like you would in D&D almost. So,
Okay, so question. While looking at the sheet, let's say 6 points you said, right?
yeah.
Would we put the points in like essence perks, or would it be in the tiny little bubbles next to the, like, say deception has like 5 circles? You would put a point there, and then you would fill in one of the circles.
Yes.
Okay, so the skill points go in the white circles next to the skill you're adding it to. Okay,
Correct. And
and then
you don't erase the previous dots, you just add to the dots.
right, because as you said before, let's say, oh, okay, I'm rolling for animal handling. Let's say my level is
In dogs.
3, so I'm right. Yes. So let's say I roll a D2, D4, and a D6 because my skill is just that far.
Or it's a specialization, but yeah. It's exactly.
Yes.
So, um there's also dice shifting. So in some of the explanations, your dice gauge may shift somewhere. And if you, let's say, have a D2 in a skill and your dice shift goes down by 1, you can only roll your base die afterwards. Or at the opposite end, if you're at D12 and your shift goes up by 1, then you roll 2d8s.
Whoa, 2d8s.
2d8s.
Damn, that seems like a nice little additional, considering the negative is just like, oh yeah, just roll the d20. Okay. So you don't roll 2 above your grade. You roll 2d8s just automatically like that, not d4, not d6.
Right. So
Okay.
I mean, that's it. That's just the shift up, though. So it's like one step up. So you're essentially rolling a d16, really. So that's what it's supposed to be.
Mm.
But I mean, two steps up above a d12 is a 3d6 roll.
Mm.
So if you, depending on how your dice shifts, that's how you go. So you gotta be really careful with your skills and where you're studying, where your study is for them. So that's everything you need to know. There's typical skill difficulties that like they do in D&D. How to roll for specialization, which is like I explained before. You pretty much roll the d20 with all your modifiers and then take the highest result. Rolling without a skill, though, you must roll as a snag of 2d20s and take the lower result. So if you're not trained in a skill, you have to automatically roll a d20, roll 2d20s, and take the lesser of the two.
Mm. Okay.
Uh, then story points, the great equalizer. So here's something really cool that they do. They get story points. So during gameplay, there will be a moments of high tension comedy, massive success, and tragic failure. In the game system, moments like these can be called upon to create or use what is known as story points. The team of player character keep track of a pool of these story points for themselves, starting each session with one story point per character. The game master also has a pool of story points to use for their NPCs, villains, and their additional cast of thousands. It starts each session at a number of equal to the number of player characters. Gaining story points. You will grow based upon the number of factors. So, skill tests, fumbles, add a story point. Particular action packed or exciting scenes, add a story point. Uh, ingenious ideas that result in moving the plot forward should add a story point. Particularly good role playing scenes, add a story point. The GM story point grows in fewer ways, but the more steady paced, which is the NPC personalities make critical success on their test, or at the beginning of each major scene, add a D2 plus 1 story point to the pool. You can spend story
So pretty
points
much. Go ahead.
You can spend story points to re-roll any ones, to roll a skill test as if it's a specialization. You get to add 5 to any defense. Story point to gain temporary access to a minor piece of equipment or tool useful in the scene. Some perks, game effects, or any special rules may require a story point, and the Power Rangers team can spend 1 story point per team member to cause the power grid bloom, generating 1d2 personal power for each team member.
Wow. So in essence, and maybe I'm just spitballing here. So story points technically are handled by the DM, obviously, and how it goes and how they feel. So, and the story points can be used, let's say, like a power grid thing, where they could just add certain abilities that help. Like you just said,
Call
like the
them,
two Ds and stuff.
call them like plot points in a call them like plot points
And the
in an episode where, like, let's just like the um um
Well, I have an idea if you're having trouble. Let's say a food fight where all of a sudden they find out that Pudgy Pig was not so fond of spicy food, so they find a unique way of getting their weapons back by having to eat a very spicy sandwich.
right. So they would
You
gain a
know.
story. They would gain a story point for that. But now let's just say if you know when like rangers sometimes like have to solo an enemy, and even though they were just fighting them before, then all of a sudden they just get stronger because of their strength of will, so they get more powerful in their defense. That would be like spending a story point.
Oh well, like Happy Birthday, Zach. Oh, that was a great episode.
Yeah, I mean that one.
Jason took on the I forgot the Green Ninja dude. with the sword. I forgot him. Jason took him on alone. Let's see. Trying to think who did. Trini took on the troll.
Billy took on Madame Woe. Tommy's taking on fucking everyone.
Tommy.
Tommy took on all fucking 5 Rangers. I mean, like, fuck everyone. Just fine.
Yeah, for real. And then
Look, Goldar hasn't had that much success taking on all 5 Rangers and winning. He's rarely done that.
And Jason survived against Goldar 1-on-1 without his powers. That's
exactly.
Crazy.
So, general perks. Let's go into this. Acute sense, always alert, athlete's grace, adolescent attitude, bowl over, defender. That's what defender does. Okay. Dig deep, dodgy, educated, EMT crash course. Expertise, extra grid power, fast, fearsome reputation, garage band. Giant killer, grid champion, heavy armor shell, heroic intervention, humanitarian, inspired, instinctual initiative, iron hands, keen eye, linguistics, luck, medium armored shell, ninja power, peerless pilot, righteous heart, sharpshooter's grace, spectrum shift, supercharged essence, terrain study, ultra heavy armored shell, and vast wealth and wrestler. Those are just general perks. So they're perks that give you advanced, just give you additional benefits. Some of them require prerequisites, but not all of them. Grid powers. You get augmented power weapon, boost initiative, environmentally sealed, faster regeneration, Illuminati, hardened armor, machine merge, mnemonic recall, penetrating strikes, power blast, power heal, power quake, power shield, power strike, power transfer, Jesus Christ, relentless blows, repair zords, shark cycle rider, speed boost, super leap, translation grid, unseen hand. Those are all the grid powers. And just Jesus Christ, dude. Tongue was getting tired there for a minute. They all do something different. Going into each and every single one of them is just a lot. This book would take me literally 3+ hours to go through probably every little thing. I highly recommend if you guys want to check this book out, do so. Like, the Power Rangers role-playing game, if you're a Power Rangers fan, this will satisfy a need somewhere.
First of all, I thought as soon as you just got done with the powers, I was just like power Oreos, power cookies, power milk, power notebook, power pen, power Sharpie. I'm like, bro, they got a power for everything. Like, damn.
Pretty much.
You think the franchise has enough toys to make? Yes.
Probably.
Yes, I do.
You have standard issue stuff. You have powers and equipment. You have equipment. Talking about equipment, they could be categorized into like power. It's like power morphers, weapons, power suits, gear, kits, and vehicles. So I'm actually thinking about giving my crew some vehicles, but we'll get there later. There's like mission critical items, things that are like really super important, personal gear, qualified items, and standard issue. There are carry limits in this game. You guys be the judge of like how you guys want to handle that because everyone's a little different. But be reasonable. Equipment properties. So like weapons, armor, gear, kits, and vehicles, like I said. Some things are like automatic and standard, like how difficult are they to obtain, and then you have like limited, restricted, prototype, unique, and theoretical.
Nope. I think you cut out.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
You can upgrade these weapons. They have abilities for your weapons to overcome. And there's like, skills like to how to attack with certain weapons like athletics, might, finesse, targeting, and technology are your skills to use the weapons. how big the size is. So is it integrated? Is it a sidearm? Is it a medium piece? Long, heavy? The style is either energy, melee, explosive, or projectile. And then you have weapon effects and traits like anti-tank, armor piercing, amphibious, aquatic, area, ballistic, blunt, consumable, cover, elemental, grapple, indirect, intimidating, maneuver, mounted, multiple target, poison, psychic, seeking, sharp, silent, spot, stun, trip, error, wrecker. It's a lot of fucking shit, dude.
Dude. God damn. Okay, so what? Do those effects rely for the armor too, or armor have different effects?
Those are just weapons.
Oh, I was saying, okay, well, I know that's the effects of the weapons, but I wonder if the same applies for armor.
Armor has different stuff. Just
Oh,
some examples in here for the weapons that they give you all the stats for. There's the Blade Blaster, Zeo Laser Pistol, the Power Axe, Power Sword, Power Bow, Power Lance, Power Blaster, which is the combined weapon, Zeo Power Daggers, the Zeo Power Pod Sword, Spiral Saber from space, the Turbo Hand Blasters, Thunder Slingers, the Satellite Stunner. You can even like get a grenade if you want to, or if you don't want anything and you want to kind of create your own power weapon, like one of my players did. They gave themselves the kunai with chain, pretty much, the Kurosagama. So I was kind of I gave that to them. I was like, fuck yeah, just take that. I don't care, do it. Um, they get there's a couple of other things in here like improvised weapons you can get combining your weapons. Um, And there's like weapon upgrades you can get, like aerodynamic, a flashlight on it, power weapon, elemental damage assignment, time bomb. There's a bunch of shit in here. It's literally just upgrade your weapons afterwards. Power armor is pretty much they just give you like a little like description in here. There's not much to it, but like the Mighty Morphin armor is pretty much light armor. Zeo armor, turbo armor, or in space, pretty much like medium. I'm kind of loosely basing it off of however they want to appear to themselves, so I'm not limiting them to this particularly, but seems kind of silly that the Mighty Morphin armor would be light, but the Zeo armor is medium. How do you tell with shit like that? So I'm just kind of like basing it off of that with whatever I can. There's gear that you can carry, just kind of like D&D, so you can carry like a vial of acid, binoculars, a book, candle, climber's kit, crowbar, and then like kits. You have engineering kit, med kit. There is power boxes you can carry. Then there's vehicles. So if you know anything about the Power Ranger vehicles, just in this book at least, there's the battle bikes. You can get the Rad Bug. You can get the Galaxy Glider, the Lightning Cruiser, Mega Tank, which I don't even know where the Mega Tank's from. I don't even remember the Mega Tank. Oh, it's from the Mega Ship. Okay, never mind. I'm like, I don't even know where this bitch is from. I don't think I remember seeing it. The Storm Blaster from Turbo, Shark Cycles, Turbo Carts, the Zeo Jet Cycles. They do have like wealth checks in here that you can make to see like how financially stable you are. You do have Zords that you can pick from. They have everything from like Mighty Morphin in here, including I believe Thunder Zord upgrades that you can get. They kind of give you also options to upgrade your Zords as well. You can give them additional features. They do have they also got the White Tiger Zord. They got the Equation Battleborgs in here that you can get. They have the Zeo Zords, the Turbo Zords. They have the Mega Vehicles from space. And pretty much like additional ones you can make if you really wanted to. They give you a layout chart of how to kind of balance things out. So talk to your GM and stuff to make your own Zord if you want to. And the combat is interesting in this. So you actually can reset your initiative every single combat scene. In the first round of combat, if after the first round of combat has taken place, you can actually use your move action to reroll your initiative.
So, like, say by some example, you
What
start
what
off
what
with a
what
low four, and you're go
what
ahead.
what didn't you understand? Like it's if you after the first combat scene, like so after round one, like round two, oh I don't like my initiative. I want to try to roll higher. You have to roll, and then you get the new initiative, and you can only do that once per turn.
But you're sacrificing your movement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
You can still attack after that, right?
right. So you
Okay.
have so here's really interesting. If your speed is at one, you only get to move or take a standard action. If your speed is two, you get to move and take a standard action. Or you could trade in your standard action for two free actions. Or if your speed is three and higher, you get a move, standard, and a free action. Plus, you get a free action for every point above three.
Hmm.
Uh,
Neat.
there's a list of turn free actions you could take. There's a also like combat movement, buying additional movement, which let's see. You can use a free action spent along with a creature or object's move action to add 5 feet to whatever type of movement that they're doing. So you can use a free action to bot to do another 5 feet. If you're getting knocked prone, you use your movement to essentially get back up by doing using 15 feet worth of movement in the turn. So if your speed gets cut down by 15 for that turn if you've been knocked down. Um, Moving nearby other creatures. So you can move them unless they're two class sizes larger than you. Creature size and scale, and map footprints. There's actually like a size, class, scale, and actually a chart that tells you how effective your attacks are to them, depending on how big they are.
Hmm.
Combat actions you could take are like attack action, contingency, which is like planning something. You can defend, you can hide, lend assistance, use a non combat skill, or you could sprint. Uh, there's a couple of other things in here. I mean, like as far as like combat goes, they made it so pretty much the combat flows a little bit better, and they explain things here. Not in amazing detail, but enough that if you haven't played a D&D game before, I highly recommend looking over these rules in greater detail. And here we go, the combat class adjustment matrix. So pretty much like if you're a small person or if you're a small creature and you try to attack a large, your dice shift down by one.
Oh wow.
So like it's important, and that's something I'm gonna have to take into consideration when you go ahead and do stuff like that. Um, Situational modifiers that you can get. So where your shift skill goes up. Um, that's basically it. Everything else is like in defensive and stuff. It's not straightforward, but it's doable. Like it's this like again, this all goes based off of like normal D&D logic. Damage and healing and other such. So if like as long as you're taking damage, you go ahead and you take damage for it, and you have to make sure you buff yourself up a little bit because this is a low HP game. This isn't like D&D where we all have like 100 HP. The starting HP ranges between 1 to 3 as a starting health.
Starting health.
Yeah. 1 to 3, even in their more form.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean it's basic, as it gets you to learn about the ways.
Right. So what do you think? We're not this. I pretty much read you most of the book. Everything else is in like the system itself, and again, this is all basic, D&D stuff. It's just a various. It's a variant in the game, and you're just pretty much, rolling through it. So, what do you think as an actual? Uh, what do you think as an actual? Uh, as an actual role playing system?
Well, definitely out of everything that we heard about it today, it's great. I just say it like usual, making the character and understanding. It's like, okay, you're building the human. Then first you have to build the character. You're human. Then you go through your morph form, abilities, creating the character as is. Plus, of course, keep in mind when you're building the character and you going for the specific color, you have to spend your points wisely, towards the particular type of character you're going for. And then you got the additionals to go on along with that. And it's great. But like any other thing, making the character will probably be the longest part of the game. But when it's all said and done and you want to understand everything, my whole thing is it really would recreate the childhood memories of creating your own episodes and bad guys and everything and monsters scenes acting it out, and it's just great. I'm just glad that something like this finally came out. It's so well put together. I'm looking at the sheet itself. So at first, you're looking at it all. It's great. I even love the fact you get to name the Zord, the strength and speed, and I like the Megazord sheet even more. So you're also keeping track of all your uh, teams Zords together too. So in case you have to remind them of shit.
Exactly.
Um, Out of all together, this I haven't played it yet. Obviously, just came out in the books, putting together the sheets itself. It's like 8 out of 10, and I only give it that much only because there's so much to go on and understand.
Right.
But again, I like though damage. The damage over here is for the Zord is practically the same for the human health. It goes about as high as 20, but for the Megazord, it can go as high as 60.
Yeah, so you
So
see how
I guess
massive this gets. So it's pretty crazy. Um, I encourage everyone out there in Tabletop RPG listening to take a look at the Power Rangers role playing game, especially if you're a fan of it. If you're not, probably still take a look at it. It's a pretty cool book, but you'll probably find a couple places online you can grab it. But Renegade Game Studios sells the PDF, I think, for like $35, and they have like a starting special that gives you a bunch of starting gear for the Power Rangers role playing game. So I highly recommend checking it out. This is Nick from Tabletop RPG signing out. You guys have a great day.